Welcome back, everyone, and welcome back to a JASMY update video where we will be taking a look at where everything is happening with JASMY. And I'm just seeing right off the bat, if we take a look here, I'm seeing a lot of volume decrease for JASMY. And when I'm taking a look here, we know that volume is the main impact when we see price either in the bearish or bullish side. So when I'm taking a look here, we can see that recently on April 19th, we created a support level where we talked about how we saw price break out of these zones here. We saw imbalance happening here on April 16th as well. And if we do zoom in, we can see here the volume last peaked on April 16th. We see the volume also peaking again on April 20th. But so far in the last couple of days, we saw volume really decreasing for JASMY. We see that here, we can see that we have volume break out of these zones on the 50 MA, but we unfortunately couldn't break this zone here, creating a bearish side, as you can see, before we had another uptrend that was created before, as you can see here, and then we broke that zone when we saw that there was a double top here as well. So we can see there was a double top where the wicks also ended right here. Before we saw another reversal where we talked about, we saw our pattern, we saw here a wicks, we saw volume coming up before decreasing again at these levels, which created a support level for us, which we talked about on April 18th. Now we saw that we saw JASMY going in the uptrend, as you can see here. We saw spikes in the volume coming in before we were oversold several times, coming back. So we were break and a retest, also creating a volume here on our uptrend, as you can see here. We created here also a double bottom, and we saw price breakout here, catching liquidity that we had on April 20th. And as you can see right off the bat, we created here our level of resistance that we talked about as well, where we saw price retrace back when we created in this zone here. We saw price come back at the 50 MA, as you can see here on April 20th. We can see that this price has been respected, and this zone here was critical for us, and we reviewed it in our last video because we could see price came back here, never closed under the 50 MA, created a double top here at the level of imbalance that we had before, and also our level of uptrend that we had before, as you can see here. So this level was very critical to us. We can see that this level here as well was the last order block that we had before the sell-off. We came back, retested that level again, as you can see here, creating a double top, and then coming back here, retracing back in our zones. We also talked about how I wanted to see price wick up a little bit and then touch back again at the zones that we had before at about 0.0226. This level was very critical because, as you can see, same pattern happened again. We talked about it, and that this was where we saw before the big bullish momentum that happened. As you can see here, similar pattern happened again. We saw bullish momentum occurring right after head and shoulder. As you can see here, we have the pattern of head and shoulder, and this pattern indicated to us there was going to be another sell-off that happened. So right off the bat, once that occurred, we saw the sell-off happen, and we also saw here a sell-off, a break of structure where we broke the recent support levels that was very critical to us. You can see this level was respected at the 50 MA, and also we were in this zone for several hours, and indicating to us this was a strong zone for momentum to continue to the upside or downside as well. We can see similar things happening here. We had a little breakout. We came back at the levels of the last imbalance that we had. Same thing happened here. Created a breakout, came back to the levels of imbalance. See, there's retail investors that could have saw this as an opportunity short, but we saw here liquidity grab, and we came back up to the 50 MA. Now, what I wanted to see for JASMY happen, which unfortunately didn't, we had this strong push up here. Okay, you can see here the strong push up at about 0.0216. This push up was very strong, and I wanted to see price respect these levels of 50 MA before hopefully coming back to the levels of imbalance that we had at about 0.0250. This level would be critical to us because depending on how we react from here, we could have went back up to the levels of 0.0266. Unfortunately, as you can see, we had a big sell-off. We had an indication here at the levels of April 26th. We wicked up there several times before we saw a sell-off happening here again. And so far, we are creating a level of support at the lows of 0.0202. So depending on how we react from here, we can see we are creating a double bottom right now for JASMY, which is a great indication to us that price doesn't want to close under these levels here. So this is nice. We saw here also double bottom in the RSI. So this is looking good for JASMY, depending on how we react from this level. But just keep in mind we are under the 50 MA, so anything can happen. So I want to see first imbalance being filled at the levels of 0.0202, and depending on how we react from here, if we're able to break, retest back, we could potentially touch back on the recent highs that we had at about 0.0241. And then depending on how we react from here, it will give us an indication that once volume, we need to see volume increasing. You see volume is decreasing so much for JASMY, and once we see volume increasing again, this will potentially be the reversal of what happened. So be on the lookout for a big volume wick in the next hour. Hopefully we have a big volume wick that comes in, pushing the price here, indicating to us that JASMY is going to the bullish side. But depending on if we break this zone here, retest back, we could be touching back on the levels of imbalance that hasn't been filled yet at about 0.0193. And then depending on how we react from this level, we could see a major drop again to the levels of protected lows that we have here at about 0.0173. So just a quick update on JASMY. I hope you guys liked the video, and I hope to see you on the next update. Take care.